We have been having this workshop now. This is our third day, and a lot has been going on, especially being the technical part. We have a team of 20. We have a team of 20 community members and some students who are helping us through this process.
Well, the workshop started with a series of discussions on the quality of a good program. Basically, this is what makes a program interesting and informative at the same time. It was discussed that a good local program should have the audience needs as its priority. This was looked at in terms of the content delivery. Use of language. For a local community radio station, language is very important because it belongs to a specific community. So it's a language that they can relate to comfortably. The timing of the programs, duration of the programs, keeping in mind the different timings that favor different audiences. Well, we also looked at the content, how relevant the content should be to the listeners of Chamgiwadu, because there's a very big difference between mainstream radio and local radio. So its relevance to the listeners. At the same time, it should be entertaining, educative, informative, and interactive. Well, the community members gave several examples of the radio programs that they listened to from different radio stations that they found to be interesting and attractive. And we looked at what are the elements that make those radio programs interesting, what makes them attractive. So we also deliberated on the importance of having community radio that allows participation of every person in the community. And participation not only in terms of feedback, but during the production process itself. That's why in the training we had the whole community represented. We had youths, we had elderly people, male, female, all with the different educational backgrounds and all doing different economic activities. When it comes to production for community radio, there's no discrimination. They all had to find a way of working together. So they're all taken through the different basic roles in a local radio station, which includes the manager, producer, and editor. All these roles were discussed and how they are interrelated. We also looked at the importance of creativity in order to make the radio program interesting. And in order to make the program interesting, we discussed the use of soundtracks that go hand in hand with the designed program. We also had a chance to look at how to create a plan of action, how best to design this plan of action for the different program that they want to create. Well, plan of action varies depending on the type of program being designed. For instance, in audio, we have audio drama series. The script may take longer and the production may also take more time. We also have interviews, we have talk shows. So depending on the type of setup that you feel will best deliver the content. For example, the plan of action for an interview, and we discussed how to get that information, when to get that information, where to get it from. And we also looked at how they should prepare for the interviews. For example, how they should introduce themselves, get the consent of the interviewee, and ask open-ended questions.
We have been learning how to use the audio recorders because most of the people in the community still, they do not have access to such equipment. And they have been very participative. They are eager to learn. They have learned so well.
They were divided into 3 groups with different dynamics, as I mentioned earlier. We had the youth, the elderly, we had literate to semi-literate, we had people from different backgrounds. So it took some time for them to warm up and gain the courage to familiarize with the recorder. But they did not hold back. Once they were encouraged to interact with the audio recorder, we could see them trying to ask a few questions here and there, which shows that they are learning something. So as community radio stations usually run on basic equipment, so it was important for them to understand that audio recording had very little to do with the gear and everything to do with the skills of the person using it. So basically during this session, we looked at the parts of an audio recorder. how to power it up, how to use it, how to use headphones and why it is important to use headphones while doing audio recording for feedback purposes, how to hold the audio recorder while recording audio from 2 or 3 people and get the best out of the output, how to play back the audio files after recording. You can listen and see if you got exactly what you wanted or you missed out on something, or you can delete. So we also had a chance to learn how to delete unwanted audio files in the recorder, how to transfer audio files from the audio recorder into the computer. Well, after several attempts in their different groups, it was time to proceed to a practical task. So in their different groups, they both chose a theme from modern day slavery issues that are active in the community. And they decided to come up with a scene. It is scenario-based participatory learning. So they got a scene, different themes in modern day slavery issues such as early marriage, human trafficking, and child labor. So in the different groups, they came up with a radio program in the sense that they divided roles, and it was like a mock-up on how they would have wanted that program to be. They broke from the session into different rooms, and they came up with a mock-up of an interview with the theme of early marriage, an interview with the theme of human trafficking, an interview with the theme of child labor. And when they came back, they all presented their work, and we got to critique, and we got to see what can be improved and how it can be improved. From this, we proceeded to introduce them to an editing software. Basic editing software. It is open source. It is very basic and very easy to use. So in their groups, they all had access to laptops. They transferred their work from the recorders to the laptops, and we went through what Audacity is, how to import the file to Audacity, how to listen to the imported file, and how to create the 5-minute clip. Well, this is now through cutting. You cut out what you don't need, you merge what you need, and how to add effects like fade in and fade out, how to add a soundtrack in case you need one, and finally how to export the resulting file into an MP3 format. So after they were shown the way around Audacity, they were left to do it by themselves, and surprisingly they did very well. For the first time, for somebody who's working with Audacity for the first time, they did really well. And you could see in their faces how they were being encouraged as they continued editing, and they realized it was not as difficult as they thought it would be. So this marked the end of our 5-day training workshop.